So hello and welcome to everyone who's just joined, and also to anyone watching this back later as well. This session will be available for you on Lightful Academy as a recording if you'd like to refer back to it or share it with any members of your team that you think would find it helpful. And today's session is a masterclass on online fundraising. And this is a really essential thing for all nonprofit organisations to be thinking about. And we've got lots to share with you today, so we will get started. And on your screen now is our agenda for today. So we're going to quickly go through our learning outcomes in a moment, and we'll explain some digital fundraising terminology. We'll also look at why digital fundraising is important, what benefits it has for you and your supporters. And then we'll introduce some different ways to set up online giving and talk through some best practices and tips. And we'll have a quick look as well at donor stewardship. And this is the really important part to think about once someone has donated, what happens to make sure that they stay engaged with your organisation. And then we'll also have time for questions and next steps. And if we have time, then we'll also fit in a quiz as well. But before we do that, we'll do some quick introductions to the Lightful team. And it's great to be with you all today. I know I've met lots of you in one-to-one, so it's lovely to see you. But for anyone I haven't met yet, my name is Jasmine and I'm the digital training lead on the Lightful team. So I get the privilege of working with all of you and helping you with all things digital. My own background is in marketing, specifically in digital and social media marketing, and I've worked for several companies and non-profit organisations to help them promote their services and raise funds online. And it's great to be with you today. And given I did ask everyone the question as our icebreaker of what is your favourite sweet treat, I think mine would be Cadbury's chocolate, so very kind of UK-based chocolate company, and they do a chocolate bar called a Whisper, and I think that's my favourite because it's just pure chocolate, and I often need a good chocolate pick-me-up in the afternoon. I'm also joined by my colleague Roisin today, so Roisin, I'll hand over to you to do your introduction.
Perfect. Thank you, Jasmine. And hi, everyone. It's really great to see so many of you online today. And yeah, I'm feeling very hungry now after reading everyone's suggestions about their favourite sweet treats. What is my favourite sweet treat? I would probably say Maltesers. And I don't know if they're a global brand, if everyone has Maltesers, but love Maltesers. If anyone who I haven't met yet, so my name is Roisin and I'm the head of programmes here at Lightful. I've been at Lightful for coming up to 4 years now. And I first joined as a digital fundraising coach. So really passionate about how organizations can leverage digital to raise funds online, to kind of engage new audiences and new donors. So really excited about today's session, especially, as I always love talking about online fundraising. And I know for many of you, it's one of your goals while on the program is to think about how you can grow your online giving, or maybe for some of you, you might be new to online fundraising. So you might be looking at how to get started. So yeah, really looking forward to today's session. And like Jasmine said, we'd love for this to be an interactive session. So do feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the chat, or feel free to unmute as well if you feel comfortable. But we'll just take a look at the objectives for today's learning. So hopefully you'll come away from today with a clear understanding of just how important online fundraising is, not just for you as an organisation, but also for your donors and supporters as well. So we'll talk through the benefits to you and your online community. You'll also be able to know the different ways that nonprofits can actually fundraise online, because there are lots of different online giving tools. And your task really is to identify the tools that best meet the needs of your organization and the tools that will help you reach the right donors. And that's your donors at your organization. So we'll talk about those different tools a bit today as well. And also, hopefully you'll be able to understand the different ways to actually engage your donors after they have made a contribution to your organization. So thinking about that donor stewardship piece that Jasmine mentioned. So what happens next once someone has made a gift to your organization? What does that communications journey look like afterwards? So hopefully those learning outcomes sound good with everyone online today. We do have a lot to get through, so we'll just move on. But before we start talking about digital fundraising, we just had a few questions for those of you online today, just to find out a bit about your current online giving. So you'll just see a few polls on your screen now, or hopefully you can see those questions. And we're just asking if you currently raise any funds online. And if you do, what is your organization's main method of online fundraising? And there's a few different options there, which we'll speak through today. And lastly, the question is around how confident do you feel about fundraising through your digital channels? And 5 is very confident, and 1 being not so confident. So we'll just give everyone a couple of seconds to answer. I can see lots of people are busy adding their answers to the polls. So thank you, everyone. It seems like the majority of you are currently raising funds online, which is really great to see. A few of you aren't, and that's absolutely fine. That's what we're here to support you with, getting set up with online giving. And for those of you already using these tools, it'd be great to hear more about what tools you're using and how you're finding using those tools. And then the Bridge team can really work with you over the next few months to really elevate that online giving and make sure you're reaching your targets and you're engaging the right donors. Lots of people using a website donation page, also lots of people using third-party fundraising platforms. So really great diversity there in what tools you're using, which is really interesting. And also quite diverse scores for confidence as well. But no matter where your confidence is at, hopefully by the end of the Bridge program, you'll be feeling a lot more confident. And maybe even by the end of this session, you'll be feeling a bit more confident as well. But for now, I'll just hand back over to Jasmine to talk through some digital fundraising terminology.
Great, thank you. So yeah, before we dive in, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about the different things that we're talking about today. And I'll just quickly run through some of those key terms that you might hear us using. And also, I know that some more people have been joining, so a big welcome to everyone who's just joined. We are going to start talking through online fundraising. So we do have a page on Lightful Academy called our Lightful Glossary, which might be useful for you if you ever hear us use certain terms that you're not sure what they mean, or you just want to check something, then you can use that glossary to look up a term and find out what it means. But here are 6 terms that we're going to mention today, which hopefully will be helpful to define. And there might be things that you're already familiar with. But firstly, we have a fundraising appeal or fundraising campaign, and that essentially is an ask or a request for donations. So some organisations will refer to campaigns as appeals when they're campaigns specifically aimed at raising funds. Conversion rate is a really important term, and it's also a really key metric to track to help you measure the success of your online giving. And this is the percentage of individuals who donate once they visit your website or online giving platform. So that's how many individuals you've converted into donors. Crowdfunding is when you ask a large number of people for a small amount of money. And this is really effective for community fundraising using tools like Just Giving or GoFundMe. And it's quite similar to peer-to-peer fundraising. Now, peer-to-peer fundraising is when individuals fundraise themselves for a cause they care about. So some of you might have had individuals before run a marathon, do a sponsored swim or something like that for your organisation. And that's where they've set up their own page on a fundraising platform and raise money on your behalf. And they're particularly popular in the UK and the US for community events, so runs, swims, cycles, bake sales, anything like that really. And it's really easy for individuals to set up their own donation page through various third-party tools, and a great way to get your supporters really engaged. Then we have a customer relationship management database, and you'll also hear the term CRM system. And this is something that some of you probably will already have in place. And it's essentially a database of information on your donors, your supporters, and their donation history as well. And some of you might be on something like Salesforce or Razor's Edge. There's a few different ones out there. And actually, if you're on a really good CRM platform that you think would be good to recommend to others, then please pop the name of it in the chat, because I know people often want to know recommendations for those tools. But they're really great for tracking your donor data. It also helps you make sure that you reach to the right donors and can segment your comms that goes out to certain groups. So that can be really, really useful, particularly when it comes to donor stewardship. And then finally, there's transaction fees. And these are fees that nonprofits sometimes pay when they accept donations on these third-party platforms. Lots of platforms give you the option for donors to offset these fees, which is really helpful. So in your donation page for things like Just Giving and GoFundMe, there's a tick box that donors can select to make sure there's no cost to your organisation, as the donor can then cover what is usually quite a small fee. But those are most of our key terms for now. But if anything comes up as we go through that you're not sure about, then do drop us a message and we can help explain. But now I'm going to hand back to yourself, Roisin.
Perfect. Thank you, Jasmine. So hopefully we're now all clear on some of those key terms. So why are we talking about digital fundraising, and why is it such a big part of the Bridge program? Well, of course, fundraising has always been at the heart of any nonprofit strategy because, of course, you need to raise money in order to maintain your programs and really drive impact within your local communities. However, fundraising itself has really evolved over the years. And what was once primarily reliant on in-person and mailed contributions and gifts, it now is really heavily focused on digital giving, which means we need to really focus our strategies on digital fundraising and, of course, digital content and digital channels. So many people spend time online now, whether it's browsing the internet, communicating, via email, or using, social media apps. People are online all the time. And so it's really important to reach people where they are active. So thinking about the channels that your community, your donors, your supporters are using. And on top of that, you also need to think about how can we cut through the noise with our fundraising messaging and make sure that we're inspiring people to actually act and to move and to hopefully donate. So digital fundraising essentially uses online fundraising techniques and applications and tools to reach a larger audience, to help steward and engage new donors, and really build stronger relationships with your online community. And it's an ongoing process, which you might start through your online outreach techniques. And that's by sharing content through your website, through social media channels, and through email marketing, and using them in combination with each other to really reach and engage a wider audience. And we know that digital is here to stay and it's no longer optional. The digital transformation in the past few years of the nonprofit sector has had a huge impact on online fundraising. And as so many of us will have experienced a few years ago during the COVID pandemic, that really changed the way nonprofits thought about fundraising and the way nonprofits thought about engaging their community, because they had to do it online and they had to do it in new and creative ways. And that was a big kind of new thing for lots of nonprofits, doing online fundraising appeals, or even asking for donations online. But that is very much the kind of future of nonprofit fundraising now, is digital. And with new opportunities to reach a larger audience, and of course, the ability to automate and integrate campaigns and stewardship techniques, nonprofits are learning new ways to reach new and existing audiences as well, new ways to steward your donors, and new ways to build stronger relationships with your donor base. So whereas before digital fundraising might have been a nice to have or something that bigger organizations were doing, it's really not, it's no longer optional. Even for smaller grassroots organizations, we're really seeing that more and more of those organizations are thriving when they do leverage digital fundraising. It's really a key part of any nonprofit's fundraising strategy. And so hopefully it'll be a key part of your strategy going forward once you've kind of been on the Bridge program, or maybe it already is a really big part of your strategy, but you're looking to elevate it or take it to that next level. But what are the benefits of online giving? Why should you really invest time in this? And I'll hand over to Jasmine to talk through this bit.
Thank you. So yeah, it's not just that we have to start using these digital channels because that's the way trends are going and we don't really have a choice in the matter, but actually it really unlocks so many benefits for our organisations, like Roisin said, but also for individuals and our supporters too. And I know some of you already collect donations online, like we found out in that poll initially, but if that's not something you're doing yet, it's a really key thing to think about doing. And it's also a great time to do it while you have the support of the Bridge programme. So we are here to help as you get set up. But because the internet increases connectivity across a really large geographic area, online fundraising offers new opportunities to reach this larger audience, even across the world. And it allows supporters to immediately get involved in supporting your organisation, where they can act on their engagement as soon as they navigate to your website or interact with your social media accounts. So it helps them to take a really valuable action based on their engagement with your content in that moment where they feel inspired, where they feel motivated by your work and by your cause. They can make a donation, whereas we know often people would have the best intentions but probably get distracted or they might forget, but they can act on that straight away, and that's really valuable. And it also offers the ability to automate and integrate campaigns and stewardship techniques, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail. But this helps you to build stronger relationships with the already have, and also to build relationships with your new supporters too. And in the past, and often this for you now, but building strong relationships can take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that can be really difficult to do. Especially when smaller nonprofits have fewer staff and volunteers available to steward donors. But digital fundraising can make this outreach and stewardship much easier for these organisations. And so it's really something that we would absolutely recommend you make the most of. So after you've kind of reached new people, you've enabled someone to make their first donation, you can then create an automatic response where you can steward their gift, you can move the donor in a direction of your choosing, and you can really build that really strong relationship and develop a long-lasting relationship with your donors and different types of supporters as well. So we're going to have a look now at some best practice for these different channels.
Perfect. Thank you, Jasmine. So how does online fundraising work? And what are the best practices? So there are several different ways that you might engage your supporters through online fundraising efforts. Now, the most common way that most nonprofits leverage the internet to really boost their fundraising is having an online donation page on their website, which I know from looking at the poll from earlier, most of you are using your website as your main form of online fundraising. And this is really great news because your website is one of the first places people will look if they want to make a donation or support your cause. It's also one of the first places someone will go to find out more about your organization. And so if they're feeling inspired by what they read, you really want to have that online giving option there so they can act on that moment of inspiration, like what Jasmine was saying earlier. Also, websites are really trustworthy sources of information. So having an effective donation page on your website also helps to build trust with your online community. Now, the easier it is to donate on your website, the more likely people are to follow through with that action. So it's really important to make sure your online giving page is accessible and also easy to use and navigate. If you can design and provide a great online giving experience, one that guides website visitors to your donation page, makes it easy for them to donate and inspires them along the way, you're much more likely to securing those online gifts and also getting those repeat donations as well, or recommendations, and getting people to share your donation page. And that's great because websites are really easy to share. So great to use your call to action, destination and fundraising campaigns and appeals. They're also easy for your supporters to share with their family and friends, not just through social media, but through email, and to fundraise on your behalf as well. So here are 6 quick tips to creating an effective donation page on your website. So firstly, you always want to write a compelling headline. You really want to communicate the importance of making a donation by using action-driven words, which really remind visitors why they first visited your website. So hopefully you can see an example on the screen now, and this page is titled Donate Now. So there's no confusion whatsoever about what this page is about. We know it's an online donation page, and this page title is also supported by a really strong headline in that box that makes it stand out. It also says every 2 minutes. Wasn't sure if someone was trying to speak there, but maybe someone just came off on mute by mistake. If anyone does have any questions though, just put your virtual hand up and I can answer. But yeah, on this donation page, in the top box there, it says, every 2 minutes, a child under 5 dies from diarrhea caused by dirty water. Your donation can help this. So that headline is clearly communicating what the problem is that this organization is working to overcome and really putting the donor at the heart of the solution. We've also got a second example of this from an organization called the Dogs Trust. So this is another one. You can see a really clear language there, donate today. And it also includes visuals that really tell a story. So showcasing your most powerful and inspiring photos or video content is a really great idea as well. And also you want to include photos that are relevant to the cause area and relevant to what you're working on. Now, you also want to keep your page simple. You want to make sure that it's easy for donors to know what you're asking them to do and make sure you're organizing content in a way that makes sense for a visitor. So ideally, your page should have enough information to inspire visitors to give without making the page feel too busy or confusing. Something that's really effective is providing different donation amounts and really sharing the impacts that each of those donations could have. So you can see an example here on your screen from a previous bridge participant actually, and for every amount they've got a description of what that donation could contribute towards. And it's really helpful to have that visibility about where money is going, and donors feel a lot more connected to your work. Now we have a few more examples. We'll just click through and get on the screen for you. But you can see in these examples as well, they're sharing different amounts. So sharing low, medium, and higher donation amounts, as well as providing the option for donors to decide their own donation amount. And with that flexibility, it's really important. You also want to make sure you're optimizing navigation. So this is something I've already mentioned, but it's so important that your donation page is really easy to find. And this is something that Jasmine will talk more about later. But a few examples here, you can see where the donate button is really visible. It's really obvious within menu bars, and it stands out from other call to actions as well. And actually thinking about the form itself, is the actual form easy to navigate? Are you asking for too much information? Is the font easy to read? Have you included alt text on your images? And does your donation page function on desktop, tablet, and mobile? So really important to think about that user experience. And it's a really good idea to also test out your donation page yourself and get other people from your organization to do that as well. And our final tip is just to make sure you're including a thank you as well. And you can actually set up an automatic thank you message that individuals can receive as soon as they make a donation online, something really quickly that you can do, and it's all automated, saving you lots of time. But of course, it is really important for donor stewardship that as well as any automated thank yous, you're also following up with that personalized individual approach as well. But there's also ways that you can automate that if you need to. So that's looking at your website. And now we'll take a look at social media giving tools. So some of you might be familiar with social media giving tools. There's lots of different features on Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn and TikTok now that have a great selection of online giving tools that you can leverage, ranging from fundraisers to in-platform donate buttons, and also fundraising donation stickers in Instagram and Facebook stories, which are really fun. And you can create fundraisers on social media, but so can your supporters. So they can actually fundraise on your behalf through their social media. So thinking about that peer-to-peer fundraising that Jasmine mentioned earlier, which is really popular right now, and it really empowers your community to advocate and fundraise and raise awareness on your behalf. And even without using the built-in tools for fundraising on social media itself is really helpful when it comes to online fundraising. You can track the success of your social media content with getting your audience to take action. So you can use your analytics to really identify the type of social media posts that genuinely result in higher donations from your supporters. So really interesting to look at your social media analytics and see, what impact is your content having on traffic to your donation page, or what impact is it having on general donations as well. Now we have a few different social media fundraising examples to show you what it looks like on different platforms. So up first here, you can see a Facebook ad with the Donate Now button integrated there. So the organization here has obviously put some budget behind this post. They're using some of Facebook's paid advertising features. And this is really helpful because you can target specific demographics of your audience. And also really useful because that donation mechanism is integrated into the ad and into the post. So making it as easy as possible for someone to feel inspired and immediately click donate now. And in just a few clicks, a few seconds, they can make a donation to your cause. Next up, we have an Instagram post with a really strong fundraising call to action. And it's really simple, but really clear and also visual as well, which is really important for social media content. Now on TikTok, we have a TikTok example from Save the Children. You can see in the bio underneath this organization's web link, they've actually included their fundraiser link as well. And this is a feature that their supporters can use. So users can add a link to an organization they'd like to support to their TikTok profile. And then finally, we have a LinkedIn post with a donate call to action, directing their LinkedIn community to donate by following a link to their donation page. Now, this is what a lot of organizations do, because some of the social media platforms do have online giving restrictions depending on where you're based in the world. So one really effective way of generating income online is actually using your social media channels to then direct people to your website where you have your online donation form. So it is worth being aware of the different rules and regulations around online fundraising, of the accessibility and availability as well, because those things are changing quite often. And we can actually share some resources with you of where you can go to find out which online giving tools are functioning in the country and where you're located. We've also got lots of other examples around online fundraising on social media, which you can find on our Lightful Academy course, which is called Fundraising on Social Media. So lots more examples there if you want to take a look at that after today's session. So how does it all work? Well, there is another way that you can raise money online, and that is by using a third-party fundraising platform. Now, someone did mention earlier in the Q&A that not all crowdfunding platforms work internationally. And again, that's quite similar to some of the online giving tools on social media. Not every tool works everywhere, unfortunately, but generally the ones that we try to recommend are the ones that are global platforms. So we recommend tools like Just Giving, Global Giving, GoFundMe, and PayPal Giving. I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other third-party platforms, but these are ones we know our Bridge community are using, and they're open to global and international donations. Now, third-party platforms are platforms that essentially you can integrate into your own website. So if you don't have a donation form on your website just yet, using a third-party platform is a really quick and easy way to get a donation page set up. And these platforms make it super easy to collect donor information so you can build your contact list and develop an ongoing journey with your donor base. And they can also help you reach a wider audience through that platform, as well as promoting it through your own channels. And they often have really great peer-to-peer fundraising tools, so your audience can start fundraising on your behalf. So really kind of interactive platforms that allow you to kind of share some of that fundraising load with your committed community. So let's take a look at some examples. Now, the first one is from Global Giving. Now, this is a global platform allowing you to receive donations from all over the world. And Global Giving are also one of our long-standing partners at Lightful, and it's a really, really great platform for smaller grassroots organizations, and they provide lots of support to their users as well. And you can create really professional, but also personalized fundraising pages where you can tell your organization's story in a really clear and compelling way and invite your donors to give the way they want. Donors also have the option to give monthly as well, or they can give one-off. And there's lots of different fundraising options you can share as well. Now, we also have an example of a nonprofit's PayPal donation page. Now, with PayPal, you can accept donations securely via a campaign, a button on your website, or a link on social media. You can also easily add a logo and imagery to your PayPal donation page to showcase your branding. As you can see, this nonprofit has as well. And also PayPal is a globally recognized and trusted name, so quite a good one for organizations and nonprofits to use because your audience are more likely to trust this online tool and be happy sharing their confidential information with this tool and with your organization. Now, another platform is GiveButter, and this is a platform that is free to use. And as well as being able to create donation pages and donate buttons, this platform also provides extra support for organizing fundraising events and even auctions as well. Now, another platform we know a lot of our community are using is DonorBox. And this is really a platform that does it all. It includes text to donate and crowdfunding. And on this particular example of a donation page powered by DonorBox, you can see that you can add images, logo details, and updates to personalize the page and really make it your own. And DonorBox's unique selling point is really that they make the donation process so seamless and very quick for the donor to avoid any drop-off on the donation page. So really giving that high quality digital experience to donors. And then a few more examples. I think we've got one left, Zephy, which is a platform that covers all the transaction and credit card fees, which is really great for nonprofits, especially because that means that every dollar is donated to the nonprofit, goes directly to that nonprofit, and none of it is absorbed into transaction fees. So that's a really, really nice feature as well. Although lots of the online giving platforms do allow your donors the option to cover that cost themselves. Now, we do have many more examples of online giving platforms. These are just some of the ones we know that a lot of our Bridge community are using, and these are ones that myself and the team have used as well. So we do recommend these ones, but we can share all of these with you in a recap email after today's session. And you can see lots more examples of these in our Lightful Academy course as well. So just to recap, it's really important to think about each fundraising channel individually and think about what the aim of each channel is, but also how they can work together and complement one another. And also, very importantly, to make sure that the functionality is available in the countries that your target audiences are located in. We know that giving behaviors and attitudes can vary based on location and culture, and so can the tools that are available to you. So always think about your specific audiences and any barriers or challenges they might have, and use your audience knowledge to really choose the right tools and the right campaign mechanisms that are most likely to resonate with them and the ones they can access as well. Now, all of those online fundraising methods we've just been through provide a really great opportunity to also collect data. They allow you to track the progress of your fundraising so that you don't just set it up and hope that it works, but you can actually monitor your success and adapt when things aren't working as well as you hope they might. So how to track your fundraising progress? It's something we often get asked at Lightful. And the best place to start is firstly to set up some really clear fundraising SMART goals. And then you can plan your fundraising moments or campaigns throughout the year based around these goals. So like with any strategy, start with your goals and then you work on your action plan and how you're going to achieve those goals. So an example of a fundraising SMART goal could be to grow your monthly donors by 5% over the next 6 months through a specific fundraising appeal and by also implementing donor stewardship. Now, once you have your online fundraising set up and your campaign is underway, make sure you keep track of your fundraising data and review your fundraising reports regularly, referring back to your goals wherever possible. It's really important to know how much you're raising and where it's coming from, what content is generating the most donations, where your different donors are based. Then you'll know if one of your fundraising tools or techniques is working particularly well. Or if it isn't, then maybe it's not the right tool for your organization or not the right tool for that specific audience. So it really allows you to optimize your fundraising strategy in real time. And that's why data is so important. It's all about using data to gather insights to then influence your future decision-making. It's also really important to analyze your return on investment. So what do you get back compared to what you put in? And not just in terms of costs, but in terms of capacity, team, time. So look at the cost of running your digital fundraising and compare it to the amount of funds you're getting back. But also look at how much time it takes to set up these tools and to monitor them and think about what are you getting back? Is this the right tool for us? Is it working how we want it to be? And as mentioned before, when monitoring your fundraising, find out what channels and content give you the best results and find out what your supporters like and don't like. And that will not only help you to better understand your fundraising activity and help you to optimize in real time, but it will also help you to always be thinking about how can we improve our content? How can we improve our online experiences? Now, we have developed a digital fundraising strategy template to help you with this. And it's got lots of information in there and space for you to set your own fundraising goals and really map out a plan to achieve them. And we'll share a link to this template in the chat at the end of the session, but you can also access it on Lightful Academy in the resources section as well. But I'll just hand over to Jasmine now to talk you through some donation page examples.
Great, thank you, Roisin. So yeah, I'm going to look for a little bit of audience participation now. So hopefully all of those tips have been really helpful, and as you think about what your donation pages might look like. So we're going to look at some examples of website donation pages, third-party donation pages, and then it'll be great to hear from everybody. So get ready to type in the chat and let us know what the pages do well, if there's anything that they makes them particularly good, or if there's anything that you would change as well. But I also saw a few questions in the chat about those third-party platforms. And just to reiterate, as any of those ones that we've suggested or recommended today are third platforms, which means that you can go and set up your own fundraising page using that third-party tool. So they're enabling that fundraising for you. You can often embed them on your website or share a link with your supporters so they can donate to them as well. But if you have any more questions about those, please do put them in the chat. But let's look at our first example. So here is the donation page. And I'd love for everyone to post in the chat and let me know what you think of it. So you can quick fire any particular things you think it's doing really well, or anything you think you would personally change or that you don't like. It'd be great to see your thoughts in the chat. Or if you prefer to raise your hand and come off of mute, that is fine as well. So I'll give you few moments. Lauren says she loves the photo. Yeah, I think having a positive imagery that's really high quality, really eye-catching, can be really good to have. So that's great. Thank you. Yeah, another comment about the photo. I think it is the first thing you notice, isn't it, when you open up that page, which I think is a good thing. Great. Anything else about maybe the donation box itself? Great. So Grace is saying you like the options for donation. So if you look here, you can see on the left-hand side, you've got the option to donate monthly or once. You've got those different giving amounts, and you can also add your own option as well. But they've managed to incorporate those without it feeling too busy. And also the default is monthly as well. So that's deliberate for people to really think about, can they give, or would they rather give one off as well? And yeah, some comments on the colours as well, really nice and clear. Amazing, thanks everybody. And the other thing they've got at the top here is they've got a tracker of where they are against their target, and just helping people to know what they're aiming for and how they've progressed against that as well. But let's look at another example now. This one is from a UK mental health charity called Mind. What do people think about this page? Any positives, anything you would change? One moment to think. I think the other thing this page is doing as well is they've also defaulted to the monthly donation option, which I've seen quite a lot of organisations do lately, because people can of course choose to give as a one-off if they prefer, but that can be, yeah, a good option really, for people to just think through. I mean, perhaps they could give monthly. And underneath they've got an explanation of what that £10 monthly donation would do specifically. But I think we've got, yeah, a common theme coming through the chat of actually the colours are not very good and accessible, and it feels a little bit busy, maybe not got high enough contrast. Maybe it could be a bit clearer in like which buttons are selected as well, and the font as well. So yeah, really helpful comments, everybody. And I think everyone agrees about this one as well. I think everyone's on the same page about what they would change. And Jane was saying about adding that target bar, which we saw in the tier fund example, which I think, yeah, is a really great thing to help people know that they're part of something that is going towards an overall target, and also really detailing what that target amount is for, and not just it's an abstract amount that someone's come up with, but actually why are you raising that amount? What is that actually going to do? But that's great. Thank you, everybody. I think we've just got one more now, and this is a page on global giving. So one of those third-party tools that we mentioned. So in terms of the layout, that's fairly structured if you haven't come across that platform before. But what do you think about, I guess, the information that's been put into this page by this organisation? I'm going to let you all have a couple of seconds to type this one. One of the things that's really nice when you set up your global giving page is you can add lots of your own photos, and I think that often really sets apart some of the pages in terms of whether they've added really great media that can just give people a great insight as to what your organisation does. Yeah, Paul, you're right. They do have a really high target of gift sizes. That kind of £768 is big, but also quite specific. So but it does go as low as 7. So I suppose it explains what each of those gifts do. but also presumably is relevant to the kind of target audience that they're looking to reach. So thinking about who you expect to be on your page, and also, what amounts you're asking of those audiences. And I can't see that donate now button very easily. But they've got, good photos. However, it'd be nice to see somebody's face when it's for fundraising. I think that can be, it can certainly be a challenge when you've got photos of perhaps young people and children. So maybe it's a nice way around having a photo of somebody without revealing their identity. But of course, if it's possible to have clearer photos, that can be really great as well. But thanks, everybody. I think we've got lots of so many great points from everyone. I think everyone's been paying great attention to all of the tips today, which is brilliant. And having looked at that, and I can see some comments coming through about things people want to do on their own pages. Really, the really important thing we need to do is make sure people find your donation page, because once you could have a really beautiful page, but if no one's seeing it, then it's not doing its job. So you really want to just add a link to your donation page wherever you can. So you can connect third-party pages with your website, because usually people will visit your website if they want to make a gift. Make sure you've got that really visible donate button on your website's header menu, wherever they are on your website. Make sure that stands out. And then on social media, you can have the link in your bios, in your about sections, perhaps in your pinned posts too, if that's the target audience you've got on your social media pages. But particularly whenever you've got campaign posts, make sure you have a really clear call to action in all of them. Make sure you articulate really clearly what you want people to do, and provide a link that goes straight to your donation page. So not just to your website, straight to that donation page. Thinking about how short people's attention spans are on social media, you want to make it as easy as possible without room for people to get distracted and sign off. You want to take people right to the destination. And don't think that just because you shared the link once, people will know where to find it. I think always have it available, because you just want to remove those barriers. So it's totally fine to kind of add that at the end of all the social media posts that it's relevant to do so, and just make it really easy, really visible for people. And then once someone has donated, it's really important to steward them well. And we're going to look at that in just a moment. But before we do so, I'm just going to launch a couple more poll questions for you, which will come up on your screens now. So those questions are asking, will you be running a fundraising campaign in the next 6 months? And then which of the following does your nonprofit do when you're fundraising online? So you can tick any of those boxes that are relevant to yourselves. And I know lots of you are busy planning your fundraising campaigns. So if you've already launched them, then please do feel free to post links in the chat so we can all go and have a look at them for inspiration. But if you're still planning them and you haven't launched them yet, then we'd love to know what those campaigns are going to be. So post in the chat and let us know what fundraising campaigns you're planning over the next few months. And while you're doing that, I'm going to hand over to Roisin to look at the donor stewardship part of the session today.
Thank you, Jasmine. And I know there's a lot in today's session, but we can't really talk about online fundraising without also talking about donor stewardship, because it is such an important part of your fundraising strategy. So donor stewardship really is the onward journey once someone has made a gift to your organization. So how you steward and cultivate your donors is a really essential part of your overall digital fundraising strategy, but also your wider organizational strategy as well. It's really important to think about this when you're looking and getting set up with online giving, because you already want to know how you're going to communicate with donors once they've made a gift. So really important, even if you're just getting started with online fundraising, to think about your donor stewardship process as well. So what we're really talking about is the communications that takes place after a gift has been received and what happens in order to build that relationship with your supporters. So you can see on your screen now an example donor journey. When people give on online giving tools, you want to make sure that you're capturing their data, but also that you're continuing to build the momentum and build that relationship with them by using that data effectively. So donors will typically go on this journey that you can see on your screen now. So they start off by being aware of your organization, and then hopefully they end up as donors and advocates of your organization. But they don't get there on their own. It's your stewardship that will guide them through this journey. So they are aware of your organization. They then move through to the engagement phase, where they begin to, engage with your content. They're opening emails, they're liking your social media content. There's also the consider stage, and this is where they're really feeling connected with your cause, and they're almost on the brink of making that decision, to make a contribution. And the decision phase is actually when your target decides to support your organization. Now, what happens after this stage is what's really, really important. And that's a huge opportunity for you and your team and your organization. And that's where the donor stewardship really kicks in. So once an individual makes a gift to your organization, how you follow up and engage with that individual and recognize that support, that's often the difference between someone dropping off and not donating to you again, or someone continuing their journey with you. And there's a really brilliant statistic which says that donors are actually 400% more likely to donate again if they are thanked within 48 hours of giving. And that's a really, really simple thing that you can do, is just to thank your donors, no matter what size their contribution was. Make sure you're thanking everyone, and quickly as well. There are, of course, other ways to steward your donors that you should definitely invest time looking into, because different donors should be stewarded slightly differently as well. But you can invite them to events, you can invite them to award ceremonies. Maybe you can even invite some of your major donors to visit your facilities or meet some of your service users. How you steward your donors will completely depend on who they are as an individual. Are they corporates? How long have they been donating to your organization? How much have they donated? You wouldn't invite someone who gave quite a small amount, just, one-off. You wouldn't really invite them to come and visit your facilities or meet service users and clients. You might want to send this group a thank you note instead. However, a thank you note might not be enough for someone who is a major donor and who has supported your organization for a long time, or who has contributed a significant amount of money. They might be better stewarded by being more involved in your organization and more involved in that behind the scenes content. There are so many options for donor stewardship. And what is key for your organization is creating a plan that outlines what actions and communications your different donor groups receive from you at different stages of their journey. Now, to make this a really simple process, we have created a donor stewardship matrix. Now, this is a worksheet that you can download and use to identify how your organization can communicate with your different donor groups at different times. So we'll share the link to that in the chat for you. So that is a template you can use and kind of adjust it to your organization. But it's really to get you thinking about what types of donors do we have? How can we communicate to them? And what do we need to be providing them to make sure we're continuing and nurturing this relationship? Now, before you begin creating your donor stewardship plans, there's also a few concepts that you can consider. So the first one is the donor pyramid. This essentially is a way of visualizing the different donors that your organization has. So thinking about breaking up your broader donor base into groups, into segments. So this is a standard donor pyramid, but yours might look slightly different. It might not even be a pyramid shape, but generally the bottom of your donor pyramid is made up of the largest group of donors that your organization has. And for many organizations, that's your potential donors, also known as your prospects. Then you have your first-time donors, regular givers, major donors, patrons or ambassadors, some people refer to them as, and then legacy giving as well. Now, like I said, your donor pyramid might not look like this. You might actually have more regular givers than you do first-time donors, or you might have more major donors than first-time donors. But it's really important to map out your different donor groups so that then you know your different segments, and those will form your different communication segments as well. So you'll be speaking to each of these groups in different ways, but also for your fundraising appeals and your fundraising campaigns, you might frame the call to actions and frame your messaging differently to each of those groups. Because of course you wouldn't ask a first-time donor to give $1,000. That's, a huge amount of money for someone who's quite a cold contact to give to you. So you might want to adjust your fundraising messaging based on these different groups as well and what you're asking them to do. Now, another concept to think about when you're thinking about donor stewardship is the donor cultivation cycle. Now, this might be something you're already using, whether you realize it or not. And essentially, it's the process of identifying and cultivating prospective supporters into donors. Or it can also be around engaging previous or lapsed donors and then converting them into regular givers. Really, it's all about keeping people involved in your organization once they've donated and having them be part of your organizational life cycle. And stewardship should really aim to retain those donors and then cultivate them for their next engagement with your organization. And good cultivation strategies allow you to understand people's expectations and therefore engage with them more meaningfully and engage with them in a way that helps them to stay involved with your organization. So when someone does donate, think about when they donated. How did they give? What tool did they use to make their donation? What inspired them to give? Have they donated before? Was it a particular campaign, a particular time of year? You'll start to gather trends and insights about your donor and their behavior that can help you better understand who that person is, why they gave, and also what might motivate them to give again in the future. You might have a campaign that is focused around a specific awareness day. So if we take Giving Tuesday, for example, where you get lots of new donors, then that the people who have donated are likely to have an emotional connection to that day or to a particular cause. And that's really helpful to know when you're planning your follow-up and your thank you emails. You can let them know about future upcoming campaigns or other work you do in a particular area. Also, if you look at the amount people are giving, then they're giving at capacity, and you can set realistic expectations for your fundraising targets based on what you know about your audience. So it's all about using data, using insights to make strategic decisions going forward. Now, that's a whistle-stop tour of donor stewardship. And we could go on and on for a lot longer, but I am conscious of time and we want to have a chance for you to ask any questions. But donor stewardship and online fundraising is something that we're all experts at here at Lightful. So we can talk to you about this in much more detail in a one-to-one and really get to know your organization's fundraising as well. But we'll just pause now for a few questions before we move on to next steps. So yeah, any questions, please do let us know. I know Sabina's done a great job of answering questions all throughout today's session. So lots of them have been answered already. But maybe, Jasmine, if you want to go through next steps, and if we have any questions, we can make sure we keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please do keep any questions coming through. And another thing that will be really helpful, I think, like Rachel said, we've talked about a lot today in terms of online fundraising. And if you want to talk about any of it in more detail, please do book a one-to-one. But perhaps, I know a few messages in the chat as we've gone through about people saying certain actions they're going to take. So if there's something in particular that you're now going to go away and do to set up for online fundraising, it would be great if you can post that in the chat, and it'll be great to see everyone's actions coming through and everything that everyone's going to do next shared in the chat. That would be brilliant. And the one thing that I would just like to take a moment to do is to really celebrate our top Lightful Academy learners so far. And I know lots of you have been really busy making the most of all the learning opportunities and resources on Lightful Academy. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to the people who are in top place for this month. So Antonina Denisova from NGO Club NE has completed 36 courses, which is amazing. Deng Alling from Hope Society has completed 26. Lena Konda from ICO Roma Women Fund has completed 17. And that is just amazing. So a big well done to everybody. And if you have been using Lightful Academy, please think about any of the courses that you found particularly helpful. And maybe a little bit of homework would be to pop over to your WhatsApp group and recommend what has been your favourite course so far, and let people know what course you think that they should take this month. So big well done to everyone else as well, who's, I know, been hard at work making the most of those courses. And I know we've talked about a few templates as we've gone through today's session. So one of your next steps is to use those templates to build out your own fundraising strategy and come up with a plan for how you will steward your donors. And as we said, we can help with this in a one-to-one, or you might like to work on them on your own and then share them with the Bridge team to review. We also have the e-learning courses that we've mentioned throughout today's masterclass. So perhaps if you're looking to up your game on Lightful Academy and make it to the next leaderboard, you might want to take a look at some of those. And like I said, all of those links will be available when we share that recording as well. So just take a few minutes to write out maybe your own checklist. So what tasks do you still need in order to launch your campaigns? Is it setting up a third-party platform? Is it really updating your page and getting those mechanisms in place to make it really easy for people to donate online? And then book a one-to-one to work through this with the help of the Bridge team. And don't forget to use those templates that we'll share with you as well. So let me know if you have any questions. We wrap up for today. As always, welcome to join our Facebook communities. I know lots of people are already in that, but I'll leave that on the screen if anyone would like to scan those QR codes. And I've seen a few of those goals coming through in the chat. I think, yeah, one of them is recreating your website, which sounds amazing, and let us know how we can help with that too. Just going to have a look through and see if we've got any questions. I don't know if you've spotted any questions in the chat. I'm just going to have a read.
There's one that's just come in, which says, if there's no option to donate regularly on the fundraising platform, what to do about it? I think that was from Valeria.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it'd be interesting to have a look at the fundraising platform and maybe, what it is offering, because I think a lot of them do give you the option to donate regularly, and I think that can be really beneficial to do that. So if within your own page you can integrate that on your giving page, perhaps, I think that is really, really helpful. If not, then I suppose it's about how you'll steward your donors. But I think that most of the tools, certainly all the tools we went through today, have an option to give kind of a repeat gift. And so maybe if that's really not possible within the online fundraising tool that you're using, thinking about those supporters to set up maybe their own direct debits or what they could do to give. I think that is a really helpful thing to be able to do. But maybe if you let us know what fundraising platform it is you're looking at, then we can have a look at that in a bit more detail as well. But thanks for your question. Great. Well, if we don't have any more questions, don't feel you have to think of your questions now and not ask any afterwards. Remember, email us, you can book in those one-to-ones, and we'd love to talk through in more depth with you. But a big thank you to everyone for joining us today. I know we've covered lots of content, so hopefully you're going away feeling inspired and motivated. But if you need any help at all, remember the team are here to support you, so please do reach out. But otherwise, I hope you all have a brilliant rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you at one-to-ones very soon and your next live session as well. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.